Welcome into another edition of Inside Humboldt Basketball with head coach Ronald Abernathy as we head into another season, Coach, and it's getting off to a great start. It's a wonderful start.
Yes, it is. The kind of start that you like.
Yes, sir. So let's go game by game, and let's maybe some people are not keeping up with Humboldt basketball just yet. Maybe they didn't realize the season started this week because you had a full first week, 3 games in week 1. Have you started seasons normally like that?
No, we normally have not. We just decided that this year was one of those years where we wanted to get started early.
Yes, sir.
And, of course, we did add a game because we anticipated that our football team was going to be in the playoffs.
Right.
And then when they were not, we had asked around, and those people, decided to play us. And that's why we were able to add another game. Because Covington wanted us, Covington and Haywood both wanted to play early.
Okay, excellent. Well, you have Covington coming up, and we'll cover that in the next segment. But you started the season against a new opponent, and we talked about this in our preseason interview for the Humboldt Chronicle, but we haven't mentioned it here on Viking News on Demand for years. You played Sacred Heart. Sacred Heart is no longer in existence, and so you went to looking for what do you look for in that opening game?
As competitive as a team as we could possibly get.
Okay.
In the past we've had pretty much you get teams that you haven't played before, but my intentions were always to get a tough team in our first games. As a matter of fact, not just the first game, but just as this week has played out, to get the kind of competition this week that we did get.
Man, what a game it was. They started out in Union City. Now, you jumped up on them pretty good. Your team responded well on the opening night, even being on the road. Kind of walk us through your highlights of that game from a coaching standpoint.
Well, the biggest thing is, this is a year that we feel is real special.
Yeah.
This is a team that's real special. We have 7 seniors, and these kids have been in the championship mode since they were 8th graders.
Uh-huh.
And, of course, this team here has played in the championship when they were 8th graders. Mm-hmm. And, of course, we threw them in the fire as freshmen. And then they responded by going to Murfreesboro, playing in the state tournament their sophomore year. Yeah. And then last year we had a great year despite not going to Murfreesboro again. But we had a great year. When all was said and done, had a great regional championship game that we could have possibly won. Yeah. And then we went on the road to play Middle College, which we could have won that game. So
yes, sir.
We had a great year again. And so these kids are now seniors. I have 7 of them. And of course, we had anticipated on being very good this year anyway. We did have one, had Stefan who left that we had anticipated being with us, but, he left early and is not with us. But we did anticipate having a good season regardless. And then we got the gift of Darian Taylor.
Yes, sir. What a gift that is.
Yes, which more than made up for the loss of Stefan Shivers. And so we just wanted to start the year out. And this kind of reminded me of my teams when I was in Kentucky and I was much younger. Yeah. Of course, a lot of people don't know that, but when I was coaching in Kentucky, I was real young. I was 24 years old.
Oh, wow.
But my teams were always good. Mm-hmm. My teams always were ranked. We were ranked in the country then with my teams because if anybody knows anything about Kentucky basketball, there's not a class system.
Okay.
So everybody's in the same class. So year in and year out, we were probably top 5 teams in the country.
Wow.
Year in and year out. So we always started to schedule out that first week or two. We played the number 4 team, the 2, the 3, the 1, according to where we were. We were ranked anywhere from 1 to 4. Yeah. And that's the teams that we played early on because at times in Louisville, Kentucky, we had the number 1, the number 2, the number 3, and the number 4 ranked teams in the country right in Louisville, Kentucky. Wow. And, of course, during my years there, we were either 1 or 2. We've been 1, we've been 2, we've been 3, and we've been 4. So I just kind of went back and, just thought about the competition in those kinds of games and that's what we wanted to do here at Humboldt this year.
Yeah, and so we played Union City, and you ended up winning that game 65-61. The final score was closer than what maybe even the first half was. And, your teams are known for that endurance. We've talked about it a lot there at the end of the game because of strength and conditioning. We're able to pull ahead in the end, but you jumped on Union City pretty early, and they tried to climb back, but because of that lead you had built, they weren't able to come out victorious.
Yeah, we actually led that game from start to finish.
Yeah.
And I was real proud of the kids because in setting up that game, we actually didn't realize that, playing in Union City is really tough.
Mm-hmm.
But we didn't realize that none of those players had ever played at Union City.
Really?
And we did not realize that. And, of course, they responded very well. And that hostile crowd with the officiating and all that goes with playing at Union City, our kids did a very good job and, of course, was able to come out with the victory.
Pretty good-sized gym over there.
Yes, pretty good-sized gym. And, again, all the stuff that goes with playing at Union City.
Yeah.
We were able to overcome and come out with a win.
65-61 as the men get a victory there. And then you came back home for your home opener. And, Coach, it's been a long time since we've seen a gym that full.
Yes, it was. I was really pleased with our fan base. And, of course, our fan base and, of course, Haywood's fan base showed up.
Yes, they did.
And here we kind of had a really record-breaking door and gate, from what I understand.
Yeah.
And, it's been a little while since it's been that packed. And, we was just glad to see that. I feed off of that. I love that kind of crowd. I love that kind of atmosphere. I love that competition, and it was a great game.
Let's talk about that game with Haywood because your team didn't play as clean of a first half in that one. It kind of felt like maybe turnovers were a little higher than I'm used to seeing. And did that come with like home jitters or just?
Oh yeah, I did no question about that. Home jitters and anticipation, the excitement. And, of course, we're playing at a much faster pace than we have in the past. Both defensively and offensively, we're operating at a different pace. And as the year goes along, we'll get better with not turning the ball over. But we're playing at a pretty fast pace defensively and offensively. For those persons who know basketball, they can look and see that we're playing a different game.
Had a lot of alumni here on Friday night as well. Good to see those guys coming back in. And you as a coach have always embraced that. Loved having, like Trey Ward and some of those come back and see the basketball game on Friday night. How special is that as a coach to see those kids wanting to come back and see the program?
Very, very special. Very, very special because we pride ourselves in our basketball program with the boys to teaching these young men, to be respectful, contrary to what a lot of people say. I think it's more than basketball for us. And I'm at the point in my career where it's real big for me to just make sure these kids not only are good basketball players and good athletes, but they become good men. They become good citizens, that the competition and the work ethic that we try to put upon them, they use that with their life skills. And when those players come back and pull for us and they came in the locker room and said hello to the team and said good luck and different things, like one player came and said, hey, y'all, we don't play around at home and we don't play around against Haywood. And it's very good to see that and know that we have that kind of relationship and communication with the players who have been a part of our Humboldt boys basketball family.
Yeah, and at halftime, it was a close game. I mean, a very close game at halftime, and yet you felt like you left some opportunities on the court. Is that what you addressed at halftime? How do you address that when you're at home and maybe you're not really reaching that expectation of what you wanted to do?
Well, I thought that we didn't play very well. We did have a lot of turnovers, but after the way we played and all that was said and done at half, we were down 4 points.
That's right.
Okay, and we knew that we had an opportunity to come out the second half and do better, cut down on the turnovers, play better defense, and do the things that we need to do to be able to get a victory.
And, you mentioned officiating, and I know you got to be careful what you say there, but,
Zip, I'm not going to talk.
So far, you haven't gotten into foul trouble with certain players having to sit down and wait to come back in, and so you've been able to coach, I feel like, freer this year so far. I know we're only 3 games in, but...
Well, we have, though.
Okay.
But it wasn't noticeable.
Okay.
Because Kendrick got in foul trouble and Darian.
Yes. I didn't remember Darian. I did remember Kendrick.
And Kendrick. And we were at Bell at one point. So but the people we brought in the game fit in well.
Oh, yeah.
And substituted well, and we were able to carry on it so it didn't look as glaring as it normally does when you only have 5 players and 1 or 2 of those starters get in foul trouble, then you have to sit them. But it wasn't as glaring as it normally would be.
Yeah, your depth this year, there's no doubt about it. I feel like you're deeper this year than you have been in previous years.
Oh yeah, very much so, because we really feel like, right now we know that we're about 8 deep.
Okay.
But we really feel like we can get to that 10th person, and that's what we're working on right now, especially with some of our young kids, Buka in particular. T.Y. Campbell in particular, those guys we want to try to early get them in, because late they'll be very valuable to us in the rotation.
So in the second half, what do you feel like changed with that team to be able to pull that victory out? I mean, it was a close game, and I know there was some questionable calls both sides there to finish that game out. But what do you think shifted for this team to be able to still fight back and win that game by even 1 point?
Well, our intent was there.
Yeah.
And then we cut down on turnovers.
Yes, we did.
We became very proficient offensively, and we stepped up the defense.
Okay.
Because they turned the ball over a lot of times that we could have scored that we didn't. But the defense was turned up, and we cut down on those turnovers and was able to make the plays that we needed to play, and we made free throws.
I was going to say your free throw shooting changed in that fourth quarter especially.
We did. We made free throws down the stretch.
I think it was Kendrick Taylor, if I remember right.
It was Kendrick.
He was, ice in his veins.
Kendrick was 5 for 5 down the stretch.
And then Darian Taylor getting that rebound to basically seal the game.
Right.
Being able to hold on to that ball for the last 2 seconds or maybe a second and a half. Fantastic night against Haywood. And then after a game like that, what is on your mind as a coach coming in and saying, we got to play tomorrow?
Right.
That's tough.
It is very tough. And of course, we answered the call.
Yes, we did.
The next day. And again, if you not remember, we didn't play Bell.
Right.
And we didn't play Covington Wedley.
I did notice Bell was not in the starting lineup. I had already put the star beside his name before they announced the lineups, because I didn't expect just a lot of change. But then, as you mentioned it, Bell didn't get to start.
Right. Well, first of all, he had gone to a funeral, and
That's right.
And we already knew that, and we already knew that he was going. And then, when he came back, he was a little late getting back and everything like that. So we'd already pinned in the starting lineup.
Yeah.
And then Covington Wedley had a wrist injury.
Okay.
So the wrist was kind of swollen, and the trainer said if we could send him out, it would be okay. And that's what we decided to do. But you notice T.Y. Campbell did a good job of filling in for him.
Yes.
And Eli
Goodness.
did a great job of playing, and so they were able to play again, which addresses and talks about the depth that we have this year. And
then later in that Gibson County game, you had built a lead where Tylen Richmond and Jaden Champion both got to come in and get some key moments.
Right.
You notice those things. It's easier to notice those things when I'm sitting on the court side. Haywood, I had to sit all the way up top because I was late getting there. But you notice a few more of those things sitting court side. And speak to the value of that, especially, you're not playing slouchy teams. I mean, all 3 of these teams that you've played have a history in basketball of being good teams. So what does that do for a young player to get in, even in those moments where you've got 10-point lead?
Oh, it's tremendous because, again, you forget that we're single A.
Yes.
Haywood is 3A. Gibson County is 3A.
Union City
is
2 or
2A.
3, yeah.
So, when you think about it, they're bigger teams.
Yeah.
More talented than we are.
Okay.
And much bigger than we are.
Yeah, I noticed the size.
Because I looked out at Haywood, I was like, wow, these are some pretty long kids. And then Gibson County was very long.
Yeah.
The big guy they had. And so, we were able to do that.
Well, it's fantastic. And I noticed on the junior high schedule, they don't play again until December 2nd. So, Coach Vonner's showing up a little more, around the high school program, kind of in this break a little bit. And I noticed, I was able to sit in on a few minutes of practice today and see him in there. Does that free him up to do more with you for a little bit? Or?
Well, it does, but we had already we started practice that when you came in, it was about almost.
Yeah, it was almost over.
But we actually started. We went to lift weights at 9:00,
okay.
And we lifted weights from 9 to about 10:30.
Yeah.
And then we came over. So Coach Varner is our strength and conditioning coach, and he's in charge of that. So
Sure.
we had lifted weights at the fitness center over there now.
Okay.
We lifted weights, so when we came into the gym, we were waiting for practice because the girls were practicing first.
Sure.
And then we practiced for about an hour and a half.
Yeah, and the junior high program, those boys are doing good. I know they've got a loss or two, but that program's really coming to its own too.
Now the junior high has a loss. I don't believe they do.
Let's see. When they went to Fayette West, I think we lost that game.
Okay.
But I think that's the only loss they have.
Okay.
Looking, just kind of glancing over that schedule.
They are doing very well.
Yeah.
Good foundation for us.
Yeah.
And of course, Coach Bonner and Trey Brown do a great job with them, and of course Butler and Adrian assist them.
Yes, I saw Butler all the way up at Fayette West.
Yeah. Yeah. So they assist them. So overall, good foundation with our junior high school.
That is awesome. And, getting off to a 3-0 start, and the tough games are not over. I mean, you've got them stacked here pretty good. And you talk about going to Covington.
Right.
This is tomorrow night, going to Covington.
Yes.
That's a pretty aggressive atmosphere as well.
Yeah, you need to talk about a 3 or 4A team again.
Mm-hmm.
But we've come to live and die by that. And I wouldn't do it no other way for us, because the ultimate goal I told someone I was in the Walmart, and the guy came up and he's like, talking. He was, man, great game, coach. It looked like we're going to go undefeated this year. And I kind of looked at him like, oh, excuse me. But don't be conceived, deceived, because we're not going undefeated for the season is not our goal.
Right.
Our goal is to get ready for a district.
That's right.
For a district season, and
That's right.
a regular season, and a district championship season, and a regional championship season, and trying to get to Murfreesboro again.
That's right. I mean, if you go undefeated in this schedule, you've done something. I mean, that's especially early in this, and you go to Covington.
Well, yeah.
You talk about living and dying by something. I wanted to kind of get your mindset on this. And there was one of the games, and I can't remember which one it was. There was a lot of 3-point balls early, and they weren't falling.
Right.
And now, if they were falling, it would have been you would have been blowing people out.
Right.
How do you coach that moment? Because you don't want to damper them when they have the open 3. So how do you do that?
Well, the key is, and how we do it. We basically, you don't want to tell them not to shoot.
Yeah.
They need to concentrate on what they shot, make the shot. But what we try to do is, when we're not making them, then we need to try to get our rhythm back, driving to the hole, trying to get a layup. And then, if it's a drive, and the ball's kicked to you and you take an open shot, that's it. You just got to make it. But we don't want them creating a 3.
Yeah.
Okay, if it comes off the offense, they got to make it.
Yeah.
Okay, and then that's what we thrive on.
I think it was the Gibson County game, because I remember you calling a timeout. And the first few words I heard as I was going to break was, just make a couple of baskets. Yeah. Focus on those baskets. And then I think I remember hearing something about those 3s are going to open back up again.
Right.
And it may have been, I don't know if it was a case we were forcing them, or if, some days just the balls don't fall.
Well, some days, and we do, we have, shoot the ball quick, but which we don't like.
Yeah.
Move the ball, get an open shot at 3 off of the offense. And if you notice, we're penetrating, and when we penetrate and the defense draws in, and when you kick it, that's what we call a rhythm 3, as opposed to dribble, and pull up 3.
Yeah.
Which is what we're not looking for.
And, you are playing a different style of basketball this year. Obviously. You don't have the 2 big guys, Fred Moore and Stephon down low. You still got some big guys on the team that can do some things, but it's not really centered around those 2 key pieces.
Yeah.
So with that, do you think that is also playing into these guys wanting to shoot the perimeter more because they're not the size?
Yeah, because we are dependent on them to shoot and make those shots. Like I said again, for those who know basketball, if you look at us in the last 4 years, we've been playing a power game.
Yeah.
Where we're trying to get the ball to Shivers, trying to get the ball to Fred. But now we don't have that kind of power.
Yeah.
So we're basically moving and cutting and driving to the basket more. And that will give you the 3-point shot. And, of course, you just got to make them. We got to make them. You can't go 0 for 4, 0 for 5 and take them. And we always joke, the thing is hitting them in practice. Shooting and shooting and shooting and shooting.
Yeah.
We have some kids that can shoot really, really, really well.
Sure.
And, it's tough, when you take a good shot, you miss it. That's just what's going to happen. It's when you take a bad shot and you miss it is where we get hot.
Yeah. Yeah.
But other than that, we are playing a totally different style than we've played the last 4 or 5 years. Okay. And we're just different.
So far, what I've seen this year too is Patterson doing a lot of assists. He's not going to lead your team in scoring more than likely in any games.
Right.
But you move him off that court. He's kind of like the Abernathy. When RJ was here, he might not score a whole bunch of points and end up with 25, 30 points in a game. But when you pull him off the court, you would know he's not there.
Right.
Then I saw some games where Kendrick and Darian are pretty tight, 21 points, 19 points in the same game.
Right.
You get both of those guys going with Jeffrey hitting a few himself.
Right.
That's hard to defend.
Oh, it is, and we know that. That's by design.
Yeah.
The kind of offense we're running now, it takes something to try to stop it. When we're moving and we're cutting and we're driving to the basket and moving, it's tough to guard that.
We're going to take a quick break. When we return, we'll talk Covington. We're also going to talk, they're going to be playing in the Jerry Peters Turkey Classic, and that is in Memphis coming up over the Thanksgiving holiday. And looks like they're going to be playing Westwood and MUS. Is that both correct?
It should be MUS, I believe.
Okay.
Is it Westwood?
It says Westwood maybe Friday, MUS Saturday, but I don't know if some of those things can change.
They do change, but I think that's it.
Okay. We'll come back. We'll talk those teams as well because, MUS is not a team you hear a lot about in West Tennessee this far west. And then also Westwood, maybe a team that we can kind of shed some light on as well. We've recapped the season so far. Vikings are 3-0 and a great start to the season. When we come back after this short break, we'll look ahead and give you some more opportunities of when you can watch some basketball right here in West Tennessee.
Bongards is a farmer-owned co-op. We manufacture cheese for food service and retail customers across the United States. Bongards offers a wide variety of manufacturing careers, including production, maintenance, sanitation, and warehousing. Full-time employees are offered a wide range of benefits, including weekly pay, healthcare, 401k, paid time off, and competitive wages. Visit our website at bongardsjobs.com to view all current career opportunities and apply online.
Welcome back into Inside Humboldt Basketball with head coach Ronald Abernathy. For folks that don't know you, obviously, if they don't know you, they don't follow basketball very much, but you've been here in Humboldt a long time. And one of the things that you mentioned again in your preseason interview with me for the Chronicle was you've accomplished a lot while you've been here in Humboldt, but there's one thing we haven't reached yet, and that's what you're hungry for. It's that gold ball.
It's that gold ball. We have regional championships. We have district championships. We have regular season district championships. We do have the silver ball. Yeah. The only one we don't have is the gold one.
And we're ready for it. That's what we're after.
That's what we're after.
That's right. That's why the schedule looks like it does, going to Covington. I know y'all are already watching film for that because that's tomorrow night. But what do you expect when you go in there, from Covington? Are they going to press you a lot? Or
well, again, they're going to have good athletes, and they're going to try. Most teams won't press us because we seem to, when they don't want to press us because of our speed and quickness. And we do handle the ball pretty well.
Yeah.
We do a good job. And we have press offenses that really, when people press us, we kind of break them down real quick. And, we score a couple of baskets off those presses. They get out of them real quick.
Yeah.
The thing that we deal with, again, with, your bigger schools is athletes. Mm-hmm. Okay, they're going to have athletes. And, and the size is going to be there. But then, that's where we have to learn that the size and athletes don't matter. We have to play our game and play in our system, and we'll be okay.
Is Westwood in that Memphis area too?
Yes.
Okay, so they're kind of playing local in that tournament, and they're not traveling far.
Yeah, Westwood is one of the perennial Memphis good basketball schools.
And then you have MUS, which we know that's Memphis. They're hosting the tournament, so you're going to play the host team.
Yeah, we're going to play the host. We're going to play the host team.
So you got Westwood Friday at 2 p.m. and then MUS Saturday at 3:30. Both of these are the Jerry Peters Turkey Classic at MUS in Memphis. And, it seems like kind of looking at this schedule and you're going toward Memphis. I talked to Jeremy Vonner about this the other day. he said, I don't know if it's in the drinking water or what, but when you go to Memphis, it's just a different type of basketball. And I think it comes back to also, maybe having the Grizzlies in town and the Memphis Tigers. It's a basketball town. And what do you do when you're out of school? What do you do when you don't have anything to do? Well, they're at the city park.
Right.
They're playing basketball.
Oh,
they eat, live, breathe it.
Memphis is basketball is a typical city basketball.
Yeah.
Guess what kids do.
Yeah.
Again, I'm from Louisville, Kentucky, and again, it's a basketball city.
Yeah.
I can't underestimate what basketball was like for me growing up in the city of Louisville. Just tremendous. I was telling my coaches the other day, we were talking about the crowd, and I was saying, despite how big this crowd was the other night against Haywood, those games that I talked about in Louisville, Kentucky early on, was playing the number 1 and 2. My gym seated 5,000. Okay. And on Thursday afternoon, the fire marshal would check ticket sales on Thursday afternoon. If the ticket sales were over that 5,000, they would not let us play that game in our facility. So we had an open invitation with the Louisville Gardens, which was seated 8,000. And then we had an open invitation with the University of Louisville.
Okay.
If they were not playing, we could use their arena, and they seated 19,000. And I recall on many occasions, our games, my last year in my high school team, we only played 5 home games out of about 15 because of the crowd size.
Wow.
And because we were ranked in the country and we were ranked in the state. We only got a chance to play 5 games in our home gym. The other games were played in the 8,000 seat arena called the Louisville Gardens, and at Freedom Hall before 17, 18, 19,000 people for a regular season game.
Wow.
Now, I remember Louisville Gardens so well because it was so packed in Louisville Gardens that the police had to put up a rope for us to get from the floor to our locker room. And then when it was time for us to come out of our locker room to get back to the floor, they had to put that same rope up so we could get through the crowd to get back to the court. And that's the kind of fans and the people and the crowds we played in during that time. And
wow.
Against Haywood reminded me of that.
Yeah.
At half the size.
Right. Right.
Yes.
Wow. That is amazing. I look at your schedule, and, we do, I think, have a few more home games, it looks like, maybe than last year. I know junior high does. They have a lot more home games than they had last year. You do go on the road pretty heavy there coming into January. But then, you get to end the season with a couple of games at home. I know it's a little different schedule, but it doesn't seem like traditionally it's affected your teams at all, whether it's on the road or at home.
You know what, Seth? It really has not.
Yeah.
And that's what we thrive, and that's what we talk about, is to play the same way. Don't make the difference being home and being away.
Yeah.
Yes, at home we're going to dig it in and guard our home territory, but away we want to play the same way.
And it seems like, and I've sat through a couple of your practices, not full practices, but just moments here and there. Does the statement, coach hard, play easy, is that kind of the mindset of your coaching staff?
Yeah, but our mindset is practice belongs to us.
Okay.
And this is where we get and do all the results for a game. And the game is for the players to enjoy, and we try to make it that way, not to try to, when you get to the game time, we've taught you well.
Yeah.
You are well prepared, so go out and enjoy the game and play the game the way we've taught you, and whatever the results are, we can live with those.
Because I've noticed, like, at games, it's easier for you to highlight the good things, but in practice, you're gonna ride them. You're like, hey, I saw today, like, they scored a point, but no, we ain't happy with how we scored that point. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, and then we do. So practice belongs to us, and the players know that, and my coaches react that way, and we all react that way. And of course, when they get to the game, it's the kid show.
And you've mentioned your coaches. We've had all of them on except for Coach Trey Brown. Obviously, he just joining your staff this year.
Right.
That fitting pretty well. And why don't you talk about the addition of Trey Brown?
Oh, tremendous addition.
Yeah.
He knows what he's doing, knows what he's talking about. Played here at Humboldt, has that Humboldt passion, has that Humboldt athleticism, and he's a great addition. You know, I have a very great experienced staff.
Yes, you do.
With Marcus Butler being here with me all 11 years.
Yeah.
And then Adrian being here 10.
Wow.
With me. And, of course, this is Vonner's fourth.
That's right. It's going by fast.
And he's here, and, of course, bringing Trey on. But have a tremendous coaching staff. And I always joke, and people, you know, have advice and so forth. Like, you know, we ain't asking for no advice.
No.
I got plenty of advice.
Yeah.
I got plenty of expertise.
Sure.
So just leave us alone.
Yeah.
Let us coach basketball. Let our players play, and we're going to be all right.
The fans' job is to buy the tickets and come cheer.
Buy the tickets and come cheer. You know, it's really funny sometimes when you think about it. You know,
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll be out and people give suggestions. I just like, okay, well, thank you. We'll try that. You know. But it's easy, I think, you know, when you and I used to tell my coaches all the time, because I had a couple of my coaches who would get fired up with people say different things. But I say to them, you know, it's easy for people to come to a game once a week or twice a week and have all the suggestions in the world.
Yeah.
Not realizing, not knowing, or understanding what it takes to get to Friday night.
That's right.
Okay, a lot more than one suggestion about rebounding or
Yeah.
one suggestion on what you should have did and what you shouldn't do. It takes a lot more than that coming to the game one time and having a suggestion that most of the time is not good suggestions.
Awesome. One kind of maybe personal question just to wrap up today. You know, I look at these schedules, and it's this way every year, and you know what you're getting into when you become a basketball coach. But how challenging is it? You know, you have a Christmas Classic, which it's not on Christmas Day. You have Thanksgiving tournaments. They're not on Thanksgiving Day. But how challenging is it to juggle that need for some family time, but also if we don't practice over the holiday and you're playing on the 29th of November, you're not going to be ready. So how hard is that as a father, a husband, and a basketball coach?
Really, to be honest, it's not hard,
Okay.
Seth, because for me, that's been my lifestyle. For my coaches, that's been their lifestyle. For any player, it's their lifestyle. I recall as a player, when I played in college, you know, being a 3-hour drive away, having practiced in Thanksgiving morning and driving home to my hometown and being there Thanksgiving night, but having to be back to practice on the next day.
Yeah.
I remember in high school as a player, Thanksgiving was Thursday. First basketball games in Kentucky are on the Friday night after Thanksgiving.
Oh, wow.
That's regular season.
Okay.
So for me, it's been a lifestyle, and anybody who participates in it, it's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle, and it comes with the territory.
Yeah.
And those who want to do it, do it. Those who do it are successful.
Yeah.
And those who are successful like it.
Well, I mean, you're ultimately training these guys that if they do go to the next level, and you know, there's college games over holidays, and then definitely you get to NBA or professional basketball, even overseas, they're going to play on those holidays.
They play it on those holidays, so it just comes with the territory. You know, we'll be off Thanksgiving Day.
That's right.
And we'll give them off Thanksgiving in respect for that. And
Sure.
But that just comes with the territory.
Sure. Well, look forward to many more of these episodes as we work our way through the season, and we'll sit down and recap games before like we've done today, and then look ahead, and we may have the occasional guest. And I've even actually thought about some things that we may see if we could work out even some alumni coming in and just kind of telling stories, get you all started talking. I'd get out of the camera, let you all talk for a little bit, tell some stories about some games or something along those lines. I know people have really enjoyed it.
There are plenty.
Yes, there are.
Plenty of stories.
Some we can share, and others we may not want to.
Yes.
Well, Coach, I appreciate you taking time for us.
Thank you,
Always
Seth.
good for the media and giving us time. And he looks forward to these episodes. I know we've talked about it long before we started, and he came up with the name for this. And we've talked about the history of the program. If you don't know it, you need to go back and watch last season's, not just to kind of know more about Humboldt basketball, but he brings up, you know, the sitting down with Coach Brown and some different ones, and that's kind of what's kind of been the inspiration behind this program.
You're right, it is.
So, all right. Well, we'll be back next week with another episode of Inside Humboldt Basketball with Coach Ronald Abernathy. Make sure if you're able, November 26th, they're going to be at Covington in the Memphis area, and then the boys will be playing in the Jerry Peters Turkey Classic at the MUS school there in Memphis, and they're playing Westwood Friday at 2 in the afternoon, and then Saturday at 3:30 they'll play MUS. The girls, I will throw this out there, they're playing a little closer to home. Gibson County Thanksgiving Classic at Gibson County High School. Now, their games are not on this schedule. We'll try to release their schedule of their games on our Facebook page, but I wanted to mention that as well. Those girls are learning. They're playing a different style of basketball this year than I've seen in the past. And we was talking about that crowd earlier. I know we got to go, but we was talking about that crowd earlier. There was more people here at 6 o'clock
It was.
than I've seen in a long time.
It was.
And that's tough because you get off work, you got to get here, and, that girls' crowd traditionally is a little bit lower, but the other night,
I think our girls are going to be good too.
Yeah, I do too.
Coach Green and his staff do an excellent job, and just watching him work and watching his coaches work, they're going to be good too.
And his staff stay the same. Swift, Cross. Now he's added Robinson from Jackson area. And I noticed the other night at Fayette West, Robinson was sitting over there, and you can tell he's got experience, and he was really. I think he's a very beneficial piece to be added to that program.
Yes, he is.
And then they've brought Nastasia Craig in, and you need that female presence on that locker room side, and so I'm excited about basketball in general, not just the boys' side. So we'll be back next week with another program. Thank you for watching, folks. God bless.